Fighting games are serious business. No funny business here, just plain old serious competition. But not to sound like a dreaded casual, there was a time when fighting games were silly. And that's what I'm gonna talk about.
Wait, that's it? That's how you're gonna segue the video?
Toy Fighter is a 3D fighting game from Sega with the plot that everyone is a toy. So Tekken, but with toys. With a plot like that, I'm already sold. Other than the Tekken similarities, a mechanic to note is the dodge button, which makes you look incredibly badass. I mean, just look at him go! But the most unique mechanic lies with the throws. Throws in most fighting games are pretty simple. You either tech it or take some damage. Well, not so simple if you're Toy Fighter. You might have noticed, instead of winning rounds, you lose hearts. Having your life bar drained takes 1 heart, but getting thrown takes 2. Okay. And if you get thrown, it's an instant kill no matter what health you are.
What is that? What the fuck is that? What is it?
So taking the throw is not an option. But it doesn't end there. To tech a throw, you need to press the punch and kick button when the arrow is on the blue, or else you die.
It's sort of like a skill check in Dead by Daylight, but I just realized that relation after I recorded my voice over Arcana Hearts is my favorite fighting game series, and I haven't seen the sun in 35 days.
But if you hit it in the red, then you actually reversal the throw, and now your opponent must tech the throw. But if he lands it in the red, he can reversal the throw, and now you have to tech the throw. With each reversal, the throw window gets smaller, and you can only reversal 3 times, so it can't go on forever, but damn, just look at this. This game is pretty nuts, and that's without even mentioning counter throws, supers, and the ring, and you know what, let's just move on before this becomes a college lecture on Toy Fighter. On the subject of games trying to reinvent the wheel with throws, might look like a retread of old ground, but this game has some tricks up its sleeves. Verdict Guilty is a 90s inspired, easy to pick up cops and robbers fighting game. This doesn't relate to any of the game's mechanics, but it'd be a disservice to not mention how beautiful the pixel art in this game is, and the soundtrack is a bop. That aside, the gameplay is simple and fun, but it's unbalanced as hell. I might have to make a full video about how broken this game is, but it's busted from top to bottom. A big part of how broken the game is are the throws. Throws in this game cannot be teched. Winner takes all. Getting thrown results in 3 outcomes based on who's throwing you. You can either have your controls inverted, which is bad. You can have a bomb planted on you that goes off in 15 seconds that deals a shit ton of damage, which is bad. Or you can be handcuffed and be completely defenseless without being able to attack or block, which is really, really fucking bad.
Shut it down!
With that being said, you can probably tell why throws are incredibly strong in this game, but there's a catch. Crouching will always beat throws 100% because it will whiff and you cannot throw crouching opponents. Also, grabs can anti-air in this game, because why not? Having these wacky throws might seem kind of weird because the game looks pretty grounded otherwise, but I like it. It gives the game a carefree nature and reinforces the idea that this isn't a very serious game. It's sort of similar to another game that added a silly mechanic to tell people that this game is not very serious, except this mechanic sucks. Now, I'm not the first person to tell you that tripping in Brawl sucks, but I mean, it's pretty funny, and clips like this are hilarious. The reason a mechanic like tripping in Brawl sucks, but a mechanic like throws in Verdict Guilty works, is because having your controls inverted in Verdict Guilty is a punishment for getting thrown, but tripping is just random. I guess you could make the argument that it's also a punishment, but it's punishing you for running. Running! You can try to avoid being on the ground and running as much as possible, but since it's random, the one time you do it could absolutely bite you in the ass. If I had to compare it to another mechanic in a non-fighting game, it's kind of like random crits in TF2. It's funny, but it takes control out of one player's hands. So, we've established that silly mechanics can single-handedly kill a game's competitive viability. Huh. Maybe this isn't all funny business. Maybe these funny mechanics are actually doing more harm than good. Oh my god, Real Bout. The Real Bout series were a few of the last Fatal Fury games before the residents of Southtown were assimilated into the King of Fighters series. And for the Real Bout series, SNK added a new mechanic, the ring out system. Now, when you hear ring outs, you probably think of games like Soul Calibur, Virtual Fire, fucking Nickelodeon All-Star Battle. And in these games, ring outs are cool. I mean, In platform fighters, the entire point is to ring your opponent out. But if you haven't noticed, there's a difference between a game like Virtual Fighter and Fatal Fury. I mean, you're a smart boy, you can probably figure it out. Yeah, Virtual Fighter's got 3Ds. Fatal Fury's only got 2. Ringouts only really exist in 3D fighters because in most traditional fighters, ringouts would suck. You can't sidestep, so your ways of getting past your opponent is limited. To picture how much ringouts would suck, think about in Strive if instead of the game resetting to neutral every time the wall broke, you just lost. Geez, shake my hand, skill issue. Now, this isn't a one-for-one comparison, I'm just trying to give you a general idea of how this would suck in traditional fighting games. So, how does Fatal Fury get past this? Well, you could just fucking sidestep like in 3D fighting games. Alright, it's not a one-for-one copy to 3D fighting games, but it has a similar idea. This mechanic is called the lane system, and I hate it. Sidestepping nonsense just messes with my gamer brain, and it just fucks me up, and I hate it. It also doesn't help that all of the bots in arcade mode are omnipotent, and they just sidestep all of my attacks. With that being said, the mechanic really works out with the ring out system because it makes it less of an overpowering factor. I mean, you can still have stuff like this happen to you, but, you know, just... But the craziest thing to me is that the lane system existed before ring outs were added to Fatal Fury, so these mechanics just mixed really well together. I think a mechanic that best illustrates the shift in fighting games from being silly to trying to be more competitive is the removal of...
Not so much for damage. Danger time, though.
Yeah,
Guilty Gear Rev has this mechanic that has a random chance of activating after 2 moves clash. If this happens, every character gets increased hit stun and increased damage on every move. With Danger Time activating randomly, you could be in a really awful position or a really good one. And this mechanic's really funny and can create tense moments, but it sucks, and I'm happy they got rid of it. Danger Time checks pretty much every box for being a bad and intrusive mechanic. It's random, is difficult to play around, and it has a stupidly large impact on the game. And I think that this mechanic perfectly illustrates what modern fighting games are heading towards, and honestly, it's for the best. Mechanics like tripping and Danger Time harm the competitive integrity of these fighting games, and for some people, the competitive part of these games is the only thing that matters. I honestly just like strange out-of-the-box mechanics like the shielding in Melty Blood or the lane system in Fatal Fury, and I think it's a shame that you don't see a lot of new fighting games take risks like this. But at the end of the day, the game's mechanics should reflect the game's goals, so if you're going to make a competitive esport, don't make the grabs invert somebody's controls, but if the game's supposed to be stupid fun and carefree, then just go ham. And if you thought the better title for this video would have been unique mechanics in fighting games, then you're right, but who is going to click on that? Finally, the video's over. Good thing a new game didn't come out that completely contrasts my ending point. What the fuck is that?